call and say it's my kid's birthday, but it's either groceries or a bouncer.
When is the moment that you go, okay, we got to take Dad back home? Okay.
So basically in about 2008, the home economy in general just ended up kind of tanking. Housing market went bad. People were losing their jobs because the interest rates had changed. And so between 2005 and 2006, it was going crazy. Mm-hmm. Then at 2007, 2008, they were downsizing at the dealership, which they wanted to move me to Avondale, which if you're familiar with Gilbert, we live in Gilbert, and Avondale is an hour plus away.
Yeah.
And at that time, Christy and I really sat down, and she had been doing a lot of the business. She kept putting the money into the business and growing it with the units. So, and when we talk about the units, we talk about the bouncers. We don't call them bouncers, we call them more of a unit, because how many units do you have? Well, we had 35, and then we have 50, and then we ended up with about 65 or 70 when it was at our peak on that. So about 2000, I want to say it was late 2007, early 2008, when they wanted to move me to Avondale, we really talked about it, and it's like, because I was still doing pickups and stuff at night, and we were like, hey, if we do that and I'm an hour away, there's just no way I can help at all.
Right.
And we were to the point of going, we got to balance the life, and we got to balance family, we got to balance work. And we were like, well, if I'm working an hour away each day, that's basically 4 hours a day going between driving there, driving back, what have you.
Yeah.
It was to a point where we need to make a decision. And at that time, Christy had done a good job of continuing to grow the business and putting the money into the business to establish it as a bigger business between the insurance. And we were still running employees at that time. We had part-time employees that did some cleaning during the week, and then we had several part-time employees that were doing deliveries during the weekend, because the inflatable business is kind of unique. It is really
seasonal,
geared towards seasonal and geared towards weekends. So Friday, Saturday, Sundays are always our busy time, unless it's a holiday like the 4th of July or Halloween or something of that nature. So basically it was hard to hire somebody full-time still at that time, because we were still in between a full-time person and part-time people. And then we continued to grow as we went, and then we ended up getting into more full-time people. Probably in, I want to say, 2011-ish, 2010-ish, then we started bringing full-time people on.
And this 2008 period is really interesting, because I think that a lot of people, we got to kind of live it again, so to speak, with COVID, of this idea of like, hey, we reach economic instability, or we reach big unknowns in the world, and in that moment, we have to make the decision about what it is that we're going to do. And as business owners, a lot of times it's, do we choose stability, or do we bet on ourselves and just go for it? And so one of the things that I think is really unique about your guys' story is that you have this period where it's like, hey, the whole world feels like it's turning upside down, probably in 2008. And your guys, I think a lot of people would be very scared of the idea of we're just going to go all in on our business. But it sounds like you guys looked at it as like the exit into stability rather than the job as the stability. How does that land? Does that feel right?
I think for us, there was always a number in our head as to what we would do when he could quit and come work with us. And so once we kind of hit that number, it kind of worked out timing-wise, right? Right
Correct.
when you were leaving the car business, we had almost been there anyway. So we were probably about $1,000 a month away from what our goal was for him to leave and come work full-time for here with Slide and Bounce Around. And then that really was probably a risk for us, because we were a little less than what we had in mind, but we just, and COVID was tough for us, because people were canceling us just as much as they were.
Yeah.
We 100%. Had people call and say, it's my kid's birthday, but it's either groceries or a bouncer.
Yeah.
Picking groceries.
Yeah.
So that was hard, because that would have a big effect on us as well, right?
Yeah.
Because we're having to cancel. We probably canceled at least half of our parties. People would continually call and say, my husband lost his job. we don't have income anymore.
Yeah.
The nice thing about our business was people would spend their last dime on their kids.
Yeah.
So birthday parties were always going to be a thing. And we had some pretty affordable options at that time. The bouncers could be cheaper than them going to Chuck E. Cheese, for example, and doing a party there. So because we had some less expensive options, we both did a really good job trying to get them something.
Yeah.
Okay, I know you can't get a water slide or you can't get a big obstacle course. What about just doing a bouncer? What about if we bring you some carnival games?
Yeah.
Just something so we could continue to get income and try to accommodate the client. I think you have to change with the client and the clientele and the economy.
And
you
the
have to be
situation.
able to adjust as a business to whatever that looks like. And maybe your profit's not as high as you would like it to be, but at least you're bringing some kind of money into your business.
Yeah.
And people appreciated that. I think later on when people got reestablished, they would refer us because, hey, they were really great. They let us cancel.
Yeah.
They worked with us to find out other alternatives to make our kids' birthday parties great.
Yeah.
So I think it was kind of it was obviously a back step, but in a way it kind of propelled our relationships with our clients and people referring us to. I felt like to be the better person in that situation helped us later get those clients back and tenfold.
Yeah. I think there's an interesting idea that I see a lot on the financial side, which is like you typically have to make the decision of profit or growth. You sacrifice growth for profit, as in profit taking and being able to take that money out and do that. Or you sacrifice profit and you put it into growth, right? And so I think like in that situation, it's a really cool representation of sacrificing profit for growth in status almost with your client of like, hey, we have every right to hold this, we need the money because it's COVID and we're an events business. But choosing in that moment to do the best thing by the customer is a moment of choosing growth over profit, right?